Welcome back to another powerful episode of the Dr. O Show. I'm your host, Dr. Connor Oliveri, founder and CEO of Elevate Health. Every week, we'll be bringing you insightful information and inspiration to help you achieve your full potential regarding your health, life, and business. If you enjoy the message we are promoting in this podcast, we would greatly appreciate it if you could leave a rating and review on the platform you are listening to. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the future episodes that embody our core values of enhancing ourselves, empowering others, and evolving our community. What is going on, Tampa Bay? Welcome to the Dr. O Show, episode number 2 with Miss Wonderful Allie Russell, owner of KVA Group. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So all things today are going to be that we're going to talk about are social media and team building. Just because you guys did such a phenomenal job in growing your business, just like we did our business through using that social media platform. For those of you who are new to the show or you are watching right now, a little bit of background on Miss Allie Russell. Like I said, owner of KVA Group or partner in KVA Group. They do luxury waterfront and development real estate stuff, off-market acquisitions, door knocking all over Tampa Bay.
We do everything.
Everything.
Everything and anything.
With some pretty big sales. Goal, I think, is for you guys to do over or close to $500 million by Q1 next year. I think that's freaking awesome. We talked about that briefly. So let's kind of dive into it here. I'm pulling up my notes. I want to hear a little bit about you. First things first, where are you from?
I'm from Orlando.
Okay. What part of Orlando?
By like Conway area, close to Summeron, right by like Winter Park. I forget what the other neighborhood was.
Yep.
But I was there for like a couple years.
Winter Park's a beautiful area.
Yeah.
I don't know if you haven't been back or when the last time you were there was.
I was actually there, I'd probably say a year ago. I actually swing by Winter Park, so it's nice.
It's a beautiful area. The restaurants that they have going up. I mean, it's almost kind of like the downtown Tampa district.
It's kind of like Hyde Park.
Yes.
Like Winter Park's kind of like Hyde Park.
Yes.
So I haven't been back, too much recently. I kind of stay. I like to say that Tampa is my home.
It is. It's a beautiful area to be, especially with all the growth right now and for what you guys are doing. I mean, you are right on point in the perfect market to be doing that. High school life. Where'd you go to high school? So
I went to 2 high schools. Okay. I went to Boone High School in Orlando.
Yep.
And then I graduated from an entrepreneurship magnet at Oak Ridge High School.
Ooh, entrepreneurship magnet. See, this is the stuff that we like to hear.
Yeah.
What made you want to go into that program?
So I was in a finance magnet at Boone, which was, I would say, one of the top rated high schools over in Orlando. Really great school, although finance wasn't really for me, especially when I started. It was like, I was 14, I was a freshman in high school, and they were giving us like stuff that you would learn in college, as if I was going to get like a finance degree. Not really my thing. And so after, I would say halfway through freshman year, I was like, this isn't for me. And I like knew someone that was at another high school, Oak Ridge. It was like, I want to say maybe like a 25-minute drive from my current home. But if you obviously were in the magnet program, they send school buses to pick you up. So I went in, applied, and I was accepted. And honestly, I think that was probably one of the first best early decisions that I made in my life was going to that magnet. It was a Title I school, and what most people might not know, unless I have it wrong, is like majority of the school is in like below poverty. So I think it was like 95 or 96%. There's a lot of Creole kids that spoke and that didn't speak English that went to that school. And the school wasn't rated. It wasn't really a good rating school, but it had a early magnet, and I was going into the second year since that magnet. And I believe when we graduated, the school went from a C to either a B or A. I forget now, but I was what part of the inaugural class, and we always had guest speakers come, I would say once a month at least, people that own CEOs, businesses, and just hearing those people speak at an early age, once a month, and, taking trips to, let's say, someone's office and learning about the different types of businesses over even in the corporate world, that really gave me some insight of like either what I wanted to do or how I wanted to portray myself. Yeah. So I was, 14 And I was interacting with all of these older businessmen. And I feel because of that, I've learned how to talk to people that are much older than me. And it was honestly a really great magnet.
Yeah, gosh. I mean, I got to believe something like that has got to make such an impact on your life, especially at that age.
Absolutely. I had my first internship at 16. So, you know.
Yeah, you hold yourself really well. I mean, I think the first time we met, like, you're so professional, but yet at the same time, I've gotten to know you on a personal level, and you're an extremely goofy person.
Some of my friends say, like, why do you text like that? And I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, why do you text so proper? I'm like, it's just the way that I text.
It's just the way I am. You got a problem with it? Deal with it. That's so funny. So you've obviously learned quite a bit from them. That made a big impact on you. And at that point in time, did you know that you wanted to get into real estate, or were you just kind of being exposed to all different sorts of things?
I was being exposed to all sorts of different things. During that time, real estate wasn't on my mind. You know, we're in high school. A lot of things are on our mind. We're trying to go to college.
You got no freaking clue what you want to do.
Yeah, we have no idea what we want to do. But during that time, because of the school that I went to, I was involved in sports. I was involved in student government. During that time, I would say my focus was kind of giving back to the community, just because that community was eye-opening and a lot different. Kind of similar grounds from like where I grew up. You know, my mom's a single mom, raising 3 kids. It wasn't very easy. So it wasn't anything that was surprising to me. But a lot of these kids in the same school, not the magnet that I was in, but in the same school, they would, you know, they would go back home and there would be like no electricity, or like they wouldn't really have food. So I started like programs of like, you know, back to school supplies, making sure that they have what they need to succeed in school, because to me, I think education is like very, very important. You know, there's all these programs of like helping people. And I think what we really need to focus is like teach people how to fish so they can like support themselves. So during that time frame, one of my goals was like, oh, I really want to start like a nonprofit that revolves around, you know, spreading education to other third world countries, or even like my immediate neighborhood. So that was my focus.
So even back then you had those leadership qualities to go ahead and drive really to start something that made a difference or an impact in the community that you were in. That's awesome. Yeah.
No, I think it's very important to, you know, take care of others. And I'm a firm believer of like Christ, and, you know, we're here on this earth to not just help ourselves, but to help other people. That's one of the best things you could do. So, I mean, one of my goals is still to, you know, give back to the community, maybe do that nonprofit, and see if there's a way I can incorporate that in my current real estate business.
We're going to have some conversations after this, because that's something that we want to do as well. And we're working on, you know, forming things like that. So we'll get to that, because that's going to be about our impact section. But let's kind of keep moving forward. So from high school, you went into college. Did you not go to college? What was your game plan? Okay.
So I went to University of South Florida.
Okay.
I didn't graduate, but I really enjoyed my time while I was there. While I was there, I decided it was 2 years. I was in the, I'm already forgetting. I was doing marketing.
Yep, marketing program.
Yeah, I was doing the marketing program there. They actually changed it. It was marketing, and then it was like integrated public relations and marketing. So they changed it halfway. So it was a much longer
curriculum.
Fancier word. I was part of a sorority, Kappa Delta. I really enjoyed my time there. But after 2 years, you know, college was very expensive.
Yeah.
I was in a sorority as well. Rent was very expensive. And I was also working at Outback Bowl, which was a, you know, the
Outback Bowl college football.
Yeah, I loved that. I actually thought I was going to go straight into a career with sports, because I really liked being there.
What were you doing for them?
I was doing event planning.
Okay.
So I would help them plan all the events that they had during the bowl season. It was really fun. Really loved doing it. One of the girls who had my position, she ended up working for like the championship games, and I thought that was like so cool. But during that time frame, you know, I was also a server and like juggling everything. You know, again, I'm like on my own. I was like, wow, I need to find a way to make more money to support myself through school, because I had scholarships and everything, but, you know, it only takes you so far. And I was like, I'm going to get my real estate license. And the reason I even like was even considering at that point, I actually took my real estate class as soon as I graduated high school. So somewhere in my mind, when I decided I want to go to USF, I somehow knew like Tampa is going to be the place where I want to go and do real estate. So it was in the back of my head my senior year and through the early years of college. And I did other jobs as well, was part of student government in college. I was director of programming at USF, really loved doing that, you know, but that doesn't really pay all like the bills.
Yeah.
So I went into real estate. I worked really, really hard. I was on a team. I was cold calling from 8 a.m. to like 7 p.m. dialing. So good at setting appointments. Now I'm like very young and I had no idea what I was doing, but I had the grit.
The grit and the grind.
I had the grit and the grind. And so I would go into the office every single day, cold call, set appointments, and I would go to these appointments to try and get these people to trust me with like some of like the biggest decisions of their life. And they see me and they're like, who's this young girl? So it wasn't very easy when I started. I didn't sell anything for the first 5 months. It was brutal.
Delayed gratification, though. So many people think in any business that they're just going to go and do something and they're going to get the results that they want right away.
Yes, absolutely. It was absolutely brutal the first, 5 months. And then the 5th month, I'm so thankful for like my first few clients. Some of them are actually my friends. I didn't tell anyone I was a realtor in the beginning because I was like, I don't want, like, why should someone trust me to help them buy or sell a home when I have no idea what I'm doing? I just started a career. I think that if someone, I know a lot of realtors, they get their license and they feel entitled. Well, so-and-so should use me because I have my license. Really, they don't need to use you. Like, you just started. So I wanted to wait until I was like comfortable. And I think by like a couple months of like practice and like really shadowing my, the guy I was working for, my team leader, I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to tell my friends. And they trusted me and I helped through the process. And it wasn't as hard as I realized. I learned to negotiate. In the 5th month, I had like 4 closings. So, and after that, it was like work and it was like closing.
You figured out the process.
I figured out the process. Yeah.
Yeah. Which you needed to educate yourself on at the beginning in order to go ahead and get to where you are today.
Yeah. And it takes a while to build your pipeline with like any sales, I would say.
Absolutely. And it is, it is selling. I mean, in every business, we were just talking about this the other day, everything that we do is really selling. If you're in a service business, if you're in a product business, you have to learn how to sell, but you're selling out of the intentions of like your heart. Like everything that you're doing is because you firmly believe that it's in the best interest of the people that you're working with.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. So lifestyle wise, I want to talk a little bit about that. You're a super healthy person because obviously, we are a healthcare clinic and I am a physician. So you kick butt. Every morning you're working out. I know that you personal train, you do things like that. What does your morning routine look like? Like walk me through a day of your life.
Yeah. So I just got back from 7 days working out every single day, if it's just even like a sweat. So I love personal trainers. It like a way to helps me keep accountable, but also because I've only been so new to working out, I would say the last 3 years now. It was a way to kind of show me, what I'm doing and stuff. But Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have personal training for weightlifting. I wake up at 5:30 and I'm in the gym by 6. And then I'm out by 7. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, I am boxing at 6 a.m.
Boxing. So, a lot of people don't realize how hard of a workout that is.
It's a very hard workout and it's honestly very good.
Where do you do it at?
I do it at Punch next to Oxford Exchange.
Yep.
So, and then on the weekends, I either try to do like a class of Pilates, but typically I end up just going to Powerhouse either Saturday and Sunday. And
just kind of like a free weight.
Just like a free weight. And I just, like typically I'll like on Sundays, like I'll go to church and then I'll go to the gym after.
Yes. What does your diet look like?
Pretty clean. I mean, I definitely like to eat though. Like on the weekends, if I'm going out to dinner, I definitely eat. Which
all the places going up in Tampa. I think I just saw a post on Tampa Tomorrow. There are a ton of new restaurants going up in the area, which I'm
so excited.
I love to eat. I'm Italian. What nationalities are you, by the way?
I'm Colombian.
Colombian, 100%?
German.
Colombian and German.
Yeah.
Ah, very nice. So that's where the spice comes from.
Yes.
That's where the pink suit comes in handy. And the very bold personality.
Very bold.
Bold but professional.
Bold but professional. I'm not as bold, or I would say spicy, as like a true Latina. So
Do you go
I'm
back?
like the Americanized version, I like to say.
Have you been there yet?
I haven't been there recently. I am planning to go there probably for Christmas to visit my mom's side of the family because they're in Colombia.
Very good. Do you travel a lot at all or no?
No.
I feel like, I rarely see you travel. Like you hustle Monday through Sunday, girl.
Yeah. Traveling. I mean, I did go to Mexico for New Year's, but besides that, I don't really travel. I feel like if I do travel, it's like something that I like deserve, and there's too many things on my to-do list.
Yeah. So what is your thought process then on the whole, you need balance in your life?
Absolutely. And that is actually very important. But I only can agree with that so much. Like, I'm not trying to be average. So I don't think like balance is like where I would say I kind of am doing my life. But I do, I kind of balance it out by either having a vacation, going to go get a massage, maybe taking like a morning
Small
to just work,
doses.
just really, really small doses. Like that's the kind of
That brings you your
balance.
fulfillment.
It brings me my fulfillment. Any vacations that I do take, they're not many, but I know like last year I would say, I want to go to Naples and just stay at the Ritz-Carlton for the weekend. But they're like super small doses where it doesn't feel like I'm going to have like a burnout because we don't want to get to that burnout. Yeah.
No. And in order to be excellent, I think that you have to have that mindset. Like you're not going to be able to go and take a 7-day vacation, while you're doing your thing. And that's perfectly fine. It's just how you roll. It's what gives you your most amount of peace too. Because a lot of people would go and take that 7-day vacation and they come back feeling all stressed out and like they were super behind on everything that they were trying to accomplish, and they can't get caught up. And they're more stressed now after the vacation than they were before.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. I think maybe next year, maybe I can start planning some vacations, but for this year, absolutely not. If I do, it's like something like quick, like a 3-day.
Very good. So
in and out.
Let's talk about KVA Group.
Yes.
Who started that? How did it start? Where did it come from? Fill me in.
So it's me and Camilla. So it stands for me and Camilla's initials. And I was working at the KW in South Tampa. I was on a previous team. And she met me. We met like the end of my first year in real estate. I actually had a listing on her street. I was so excited for this listing. It was like my first $1 million like listing. And no, it did not sell because it was overpriced, which is why I tell the people on my team to not take overpriced listings because it just wastes time sometimes. But I had someone who was putting like open house signs because I was having an open house, putting open house signs in front of her yard. And she came outside. Like, I think she was wearing her pajamas or something. And she was like, why are you putting, like, signs on my yard? And he was like, my friend was like, oh, there's this girl named Allie. She's doing an open house on your street. She's such a hustler. You should definitely come by. And she never came by, actually. Instead, she, like, stalked me via, like, Facebook and, like, a bunch of other things and looked me up. That's what she told me. And then she ended up calling me. And she told me, hey, I saw that you had a listing. And I was so excited for a call because I thought she had, like, a buyer. And no, she just wanted to give me, like, a lead. Like, because I speak Spanish, a Spanish lead. And she had this listing. I remember very clearly. She had, like, this property in, like, Lutz from one of our current clients that we work with that remodeled it. And she gave me the Spanish lead. And she was like, hey, can you call them? And they want to see this house. And I, like, closed them. They ended up buying the house. So she ended up giving me like more Spanish leads. That's kind of like what my low-hanging fruit was my first year, was all these Spanish leads because I spoke Spanish. So most of my clients were Hispanic. And then, a couple months go by and she was like, hey, do you want to come work with me? She was at Coldwell. And I'm like, no, I'm really comfortable where I am and stuff like that. And, it was like 6 months until she convinced me to switch brokerages. And then that kind of is how it started. We ended up working together. And then I had some friends that got their license and ended up working with us. And we kind of like grew that way. And I want to say by the end of the first year, we ended up probably starting to be more like known on social media. Like my first year of us working was strictly just us just me and her.
Just you and her doing your thing.
Just me and her doing our thing.
Which was probably good because that allowed you to fine tune your systems, figure out your working relationship, who would accomplish what task when, you know, you're coming up on a sale or you had a lead. You figured out your roles and what you were good at and what she was good at, which is so important.
No, absolutely. And I want to say, since we've both started, we've grown, you know, in every way possible of like what we're good at, you know, because things that she's good at, I'm probably not good at, and things that I'm good at, she maybe it's not her best thing. So we balance each other's like strengths and weaknesses, which I think is very, very important in a business relationship. And also having that trust and like loyalty. Like, she's not just my business partner. She's like honestly my best friend. And I kind of like look towards her like as a mom or sister figure as well.
Oh, shout out Camilla.
Yeah, shout out.
So you all have a team of how many now?
So we have a team of, just not including like our admin, 11 agents.
11 agents?
Yes.
What about including admin?
So we have 2, 3. I think we have 5 on admin.
Yep.
5 admin.
So between everybody, you have just under a team of 20.
Yeah, we have a team of 20. We actually had, at a time, I believe when I spoke with you last year, I think we had like 17 agents, and we had over like 20 people. And we fine-tuned and put the chopping board out.
Yeah, well, sometimes quality is better than quantity.
Absolutely. And we constantly get, you know, I open up my phone right now, I probably have a lot of dozen at least unread messages of people wanting to like join the team. We get a bunch of emails, and, you know, it's really nice to know that there's like other, you know, agents or people that look up to us and want to come work with us. But unfortunately, we've gotten to the point that we don't have enough time to offer the same type of training that we could have offered, you know, maybe 2 a year ago. Yeah.
So let's talk about the social media monster that you guys have grown. I mean, you guys are at, let me see here, I'm going to pull it up on my iPad. When it comes to KVA Group, you've got just under 4,000 followers, right? But you personally have over 20,000 followers. How do you feel like that's benefited your business, and what can you contribute to social media for allowing you guys to grow at the rate that you did? I mean, what type of role did that play?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we have that many followers, but I would like to say that we do have a lot of followers that are true local to our community, which I think that's very important, especially for the business that we're in. We're like selling real estate in Tampa Bay. So, I mean, when I started, I think it started when I started to post more. I used to post a lot more than I do right now. And something that I teach the agents on the team is, you know, how to grow their social media. And I got a text this morning from one of the newer girls. She's been with us 2 months, and I've been teaching her like what she needs to do to like, you know, be an influence, impactful, help others. And she's like, look, I got another client this morning.
Exactly.
And so, but I started posting more. Like when I first started, I would do a lot of like stories, kind of what I'm working on. When I started working with Camilla, my gear kind of changed. I was working with a lot of, you know, buyers, you know, Spanish leads. And then she was the one who got me into, you know, the new construction field that I now
Which do. I saw you guys have like an 82 unit complex going up. That's badass.
Yeah, we have a lot of projects going up, including that one. So mostly what I focus right now is new construction. But what I started doing, and this kind of goes back of how I got started, is I'd go to all these listing appointments, and they would almost pick me. They'd be like, we wanted you, but we almost went with you. And they probably went with someone who had like 10 years, 20 years, much older. You know, so it was very hard when I first got started. So I shifted gears instead. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to strictly, instead of going after like listings, I'm going to go strictly after the distressed homes. Because it's so easy for, you know, I think anyone, maybe not anyone, but anyone can just go and knock on a property that's distressed. And for those that don't know, distress is like a home that's not, you know, being maintained. Let's say the grass is overgrown, the roof is caving in.
Not the sexiest home on the block.
Not the sexiest home on the block. Actually, the ugliest. Yeah. The ugliest of the ugliest home on the block. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go knock on these doors. Because I had this one client who was an investor, and I was so excited. And he's like, I'm looking for a property to flip. And so I'm like, yes, a repeat client. And now all my clients are repeat. And I was like, yes, a repeat client. That can potentially be one. And so I knocked on all these doors. Camilla had an off market, sold it to him. He renovated it. I listed it and it sold for over asking. I was like, I want to do more of these.
Yeah.
Like,
you found your niche.
I found my niche. And because I build my business, it's not just a payday. Like, I know what properties I have going up. Like, for this year, I already know everything that I'm selling on top of anything else that, you know, lands on my lap. And next year as well. So I went around town. I would do drive-bys and I would write down addresses, and then I would cold call these people, and they don't answer, I show up at their door. A lot of these people were older and they didn't have email or phone, so I would just knock on their door and, you know, and a lot of the times they would say, yeah, I've been thinking about selling, and, you know, talk to them, be their friend. And that's how I kind of got started. I would post about what I was doing on social media, and, you know, during that time frame, I would have investors messaging me, say, hey, do you have any flips coming up I'd like to buy? And at that point, I started building like my buyer list for people who wanted to flip. Yeah. And as I grew and the market started to increase, you know, there isn't that much money in flips. And I realized, well, if I can do this with $200,000 houses, maybe I can do this with $1 million waterfront properties, or they're not a million now, but
yeah,
maybe I can do this with like a way that I got into the higher price point was shifting gears, doing the same thing I'm doing, just in a different market.
Yeah. Which I think is so important. Something that you mentioned is like you were actually going in person, introducing yourselves to these people and these homeowners. And so many people are afraid of that face-to-face confrontation. They have a hard time getting past that wall. And like even with what we did when we started up, it was going into the local businesses, meeting the management, trying to, you know, become friendly with them, see if there was a way for us to collaborate in some way, shape, or form with regards to health and wellness and whatever their business was. So, I mean,
I think that's very important. Super
important. And I think, you know, when you're obviously training and talking to people, that the second that you have somebody that can't break past that barrier, it's like, okay, maybe you're just not cut out for this job. Like, you know, in order to do this, you got to be able to talk to people.
Oh, you have to be able to talk to people. And it's so funny you say that, because I'm actually an introvert. So, but I do know how to talk. I'm very introverted, and it's very surprising when I tell people that, because I'm in real estate.
Yeah. Well, you find a way to make it work. Like you become a bulldog once you're doing your work.
Yep. I 100% agree.
Very good. So let's talk about the highs and lows. What was the highest peak, or what has been the highest peak of your career up to this point? What has your largest sale been? Like, what would you say? Or it doesn't even have to be a sale, a finances number. Like, it could just be like, what is the greatest accomplishment you personally feel has been to this point?
I don't think I've reached my greatest accomplishment yet.
Ooh, what a good answer.
I think my greatest accomplishment is probably like the next big sale that I have.
Okay. So it's that constant proud but never satisfied mentality.
Never satisfied. Like, you know, like last month, one of my good clients, he's a repeat client. We closed on a $9.5 million waterfront lot in Miami. It was just a piece of dirt. I didn't celebrate that day. I celebrated for them, but there was like nothing like for me that I was like very satisfied.
Yep.
So went back to work the next day. Well, I think a lot of people in like sales, you know, realtors too, they get that big sale and then they'll take like a week vacation or 2 weeks, or they go to Europe or something. But not me, I know. And I think the reason why my clients love working with me, and I have good clients, is because they know that I prioritize them, and they know that their needs are in like good hands. Yeah.
And I'm so happy to have a friend like you who has that type of mindset, because that makes me better as well within what I do. And I have that type of mindset too. And it's like, you know, I have this facility, you have your company, we have different things that we're working on, but we always want to try to push the limits with that.
Absolutely.
So having said all of that, let's talk about lasting impact and how you want to be remembered.
So, not to bring like religion into this.
I love religion. That's a great thing. Pastor Aaron Burke's coming on next week.
I know, but it wasn't last week. It was I think two weeks before. He was talking about some of the most important thing you could do while on this like planet is to talk to other people about like God and see what they can do, how them bring them to church, and kind of make an impactful life in their life, whether that's like business, relationship. And something that I do with like my current team is try to help them get to that next level. Like, for example, I've had a lot of mentors in my life. You know, Camilla's a mentor of me as well. And, you know, God forbid, like something happened to her. But something I would always remember from her is like she was always there and she helped me grow into like who I am today. Same thing with my mom. So that's kind of, I want to be remembered in like other people's life. Like Allie helped me, you know, get from point A to point B. And because of her, I'm like doing this, or I think this way, or I believe in this. So
yeah, she cared about you more as a person, or who you were as a person, and what you were going to become than the result or what you could give back to her.
Absolutely.
And that's huge. I mean, I think it's very difficult, even for us, to figure out how to implement, you know, faith into the workplace. And it's a very difficult thing to do. Only, you know, so many people try to keep everything separate. But I think there's small little things that you can do on a day-to-day basis, just through who you are as a person and the way that you treat people. That reveal.
And you can be of any religion. You can believe in whatever God you want to. But as you know, I just follow the golden rule: treat others like how you want to be treated. So
100%. Amazing. Well, Allie, thank you so much for hanging with us today.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate you. I wish you nothing but the most amount of success moving forward. Continue to kick butt, do your thing, and I'm excited to watch you all grow.
Absolutely.
Awesome. See ya.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning into the podcast. If you liked this video, please click the like button and subscribe. This podcast is being produced with the hopes that it will impact the lives of many people throughout the world. For more information on Elevate Health, visit elevatehealthfacilities.com and schedule an appointment with a qualified healthcare professional for any of your desired needs.